Okay, quick trade recap today. I had only one trade that really made any money, which was fine because I hit goal on it. Let's start with the pre-market plan. The 4-hour chart on ES showed us that we did have a very positive structure on the higher time frame. We had a low back here on Friday last week. We went up, set a higher low here on Tuesday, and then subsequently on Wednesday, and then again on Thursday, right? So as we built back up today into the overnight into today, we kind of pulled back a little bit just above the 200 where this distribution was. We had another test of that, and at that point when we were bouncing off of it, I was pretty sure we were going to be bullish on the day. So I really like this zone that we had drawn in here, and I liked kind of the idea that we were going to push up. On NQ, the story was very much the same. This is the hourly. We obviously had a really strong support here. Again, we moved up for a higher low. Again, we had another higher low. And again, we had another higher low. And then we sort of consolidated in here. So for NQ, I used that overnight consolidation as my demand zone. So once we broke out of that, that was confirmed. And I really like that zone. And it just makes sense that if we're going to push up, we're going to push up into the previous swing high, which is why the supply was drawn up here. So I really like the zones today. I think they were pretty strong and very predictable. So let's go over and look at the trades. Starting with the S, we had a really strong move in the pre-market. You can see that we had a strong delta candle here. We set a pivot point for a higher low on the structure. This is the zigzag that marks my structure. We pushed up really nicely here. We even back tested it once, got another strong delta candle, and fired up into the supply zone for the morning. It was a really nice move. I wasn't able to take it. I was busy in a meeting, but it was a really great move that I wanted to highlight. We pull back out of there. We test supply again. We get another rejection, and we pull back into the 6,400 level. I did take a shot here. I took a shot here on ES as well as NQ. I like that we were pulling back into the zone again. We got another delta candle out of it, and I was a day late and $1 short. We had gotten some serious selling pressure coming back in my face. And I cut the trade short because I didn't want to try to hold it being stubborn with all that opposing pressure. So I took it off with a very, very small loss and continued on to the next trade. This is one that I wish I had taken when we pulled back into very near the overnight high. I didn't specifically have a level here, but we were at the top of a distribution from the previous day. And we had this huge burst of delta right here. And you can even see it on the book map. We dropped down into the zone. We were cutting through a lot of liquidity here as we got down into the zone. And this was the line down here right at the overnight high that I was keeping an eye on. And out of that zone, you can see the amazing selling that we had coming out of that zone. So we had a ton of delta that really gave us a strong signal to enter the market. So on the book map, you really could see that as well as on this candle. The entry would have been right around 63.97, stop below the body of the previous candle, and this would have been a very clean move up for a nice profit. Unfortunately, I missed it. I was looking at NQ, and I'll show you why in a minute, but it was a nice move. The other opportunity, of course, was this delta candle here that's also highlighted in white. I didn't take this one as we were basically trading in the primary supply zone and right into the previous day's high, which I generally don't like to trade into because it's always an attraction for liquidity. Probably could have scalped a few points off of that, but it really wasn't worth it in the long run, so I held off. For NQ, we had much the same thing. We started off in the demand zone, kind of chopping around here a little bit. We had a pivot low right here, so here was our pivot point. Highlighted that zone. We had a nice move out of it into the open. Back tested it, got a beautiful delta candle here. Definitely could have longed that clean move up for a good profit. Again, I was in a meeting and couldn't take it, unfortunately. We chopped around in here a little bit. I shouldn't say chopped. It was actually pretty clean, but we pulled back into the pivot zone that was formed here. And then we burst out again on delta and moved up for another pretty clean move there that would have been profitable. Again, I wasn't able to take it. This is the same trade I was mentioning before that I took on ES that I also took on NQ. Tried to go long after this delta candle formed, ended up with a ton of selling pressure, and I just ended up taking it off for a very small loss. And then as we pulled into the VWAP, I'm not usually a VWAP guy, but on NQ just tends to love VWAP for whatever reason. And we ended up coming down, touching into VWAP in the zone that we previously marked off, and we got a really, really, really nice delta candle. The other thing that we had here was that on yesterday's volume profile, this was the high distribution. We were very close to the POC, so it was another added confluence. And you could also see this on NQ on the book map. So here on the book map, you can see that we were just moving down really steadily. We had some nice liquidity here. We kind of bounced off of it, but we ended up filling it and we kept pressing down. We had a couple tries to move down here, couldn't do it. And then we tried it again. At this level right here was 23,610. And on the actual chart, you can see that that was the VWAP. So when we came down to touch the VWAP, we basically had this line of liquidity here that represented that level. Now, this wasn't a particularly strong level, but what it tells me is that there's some orders coinciding with the presence of the VWAP right there, and that there's probably going to be some interest to trade off of it. There was another level. If we look back at this real quick, there was another level down here, obviously had a lot of orders. So if we had broken through, there was another layer of protection there that was kind of attractive to me in the way of, hey, let's get in here if we get that delta rush. And we definitely got that delta rush on this green highlighted candle here. And I went ahead and took my entry on the close. This pressed up about 30 points or so. I think it was like 32 or 33, but I went in with a little bit of size because the confluences really made it a high probability trade. So I went ahead and took that long and made goal for the day. It was a really great trade. We also had this other opportunity here where we had a burst of delta on this candle. You could have taken it at the close, set your stop below the either the previous body. We might have gotten stopped out with this wick actually, but if we had put the stop below the wick, we definitely could have had a nice profitable trade into the close. And coincidentally, we closed right at our supply zone. So it was a really nice move from demand to supply throughout the course of the day. So kind of a nod to pre-market planning and having your levels set. Would have been a really, really, really nice day to get in somewhere down here. And if you had the courage to hold it all day long, you would have really been rewarded. So lots of opportunities on ES and NQ today. It was a really, really, really strong trading day.